Have you ever wondered what would happen if you traveled through time to get back home, only to discover that humans were no longer at the top of the food chain? That exact nightmare happened to an astronaut named Leo. After crash landing right in front of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., he stumbled out of his ship, looked up at the iconic monument, and froze in total terror. Sitting on that grand marble throne wasn't Abraham Lincoln. It was a giant, terrifying ape general. Leo wasn't just some random guy in a suit. He was an elite Air Force pilot working for NASA. In the future, Earth was so ridiculously overpopulated that humanity was desperately hunting for a new home. To probe dangerous cosmic anomalies, NASA started genetically modifying chimpanzees because of their incredible ability to learn and mimic humans. Leo's star pupil was a smart little chimp named Pericles. Leo spent months training him day in and day out. Then came the day a massive electromagnetic storm ruptured near their space station. Standard protocol meant sending the chimp in first. Leo suited Pericles up, gave him a pep talk, and launched him into the cosmic void. But within seconds, the pod went haywire, veered off course, and vanished straight into a glowing purple vortex. Defying direct orders, Leo jumped into his own pod and dove headfirst into the storm to save his furry buddy. But the real nightmare was only just beginning. Inside the anomaly, time completely broke down. Clocks spun wildly, and thousands of years flashed by in mere seconds. Leo's pod lost all power and went into a tailspin, crash landing violently into a swamp on an unknown planet. Miraculously, Leo survived. As he pulled himself out of the water, he realized the atmosphere had breathable oxygen, lush forests, and fresh water. For a second, he thought he'd hit the jackpot, a perfect new home for humanity. Then reality slapped him right in the face. Out of nowhere, a group of wild, dirt-covered humans came sprinting through the jungle, screaming for their lives. Before Leo could even ask what was going on, heavy armored cavalry burst through the trees. Riding those horses weren't people. They were massive, heavily armed apes. They were netting humans like stray dogs and tossing them into wooden cages. Welcome to the worst tropical vacation in history. Leo got tackled, bound, and thrown into a slave cart heading straight to the ape city. When they arrived, Leo's mind was blown. It was a fully functioning, civilized society. They had bustling marketplaces, clothes shops, and little chimp kids playing sports in the streets. It was a twisted mirror image of human civilization, except humans were the animals. He had no idea how much worse things were about to get. In the city square, a shady orangutan merchant was auctioning off humans like livestock. Adults were getting branded with hot irons, and kids were being put on leashes as exotic pets. Watching this in disgust was Ari, a high society ape senator's daughter, who actually advocated for human rights. Leo, being a quick thinker, caught Ari's eye and whispered, "Get me out of here." Impressed by a human that could actually speak, Ari dropped a fortune to buy Leo and a few others. But that night, the ruthless ape general Thady showed up at her family estate. Thady hated humans with a passion. He forced Leo's mouth open and sneered, "Clean your dirty human mouth. You smell like disease." Leo was a 21st century hotshot pilot. There was no way he was taking that level of disrespect. Later that night, Leo organized a daring prison break. With Ari secretly guiding them, they slipped past the city guards and headed out toward the barren wasteland known as the Forbidden Zone. Leo managed to retrieve his high-tech survival kit from his crashed pod and picked up a homing signal. The giant NASA mothership was on this planet too, and he thought help had arrived, but the truth was far darker. When they finally tracked down the coordinates inside the Forbidden Desert, they didn't find an operational military base. They found the rusted, decaying ruins of the mothership, looking like it had been rotting there for 5,000 years. Leo forced open the airlock, booted up the backup power, and played the ship's final flight logs. The horrifying truth unfolded before his eyes. When Leo had vanished into the storm thousands of years ago, his crew went in after him, but they were thrown back in time, landing on this planet 5 millennia before Leo ever arrived. Stranded on a dead world, the smart lab chimps aboard the ship mutinied under a rogue ape named Simos. They slaughtered the human crew, took their weapons, and built an entire civilization from scratch. Leo wasn't in the future on some alien world. He was in the future of a world his own species had lost 5,000 years ago. Word spread fast among the primitive human tribes that an astronaut was fighting back against the apes. Thousands of desperate humans gathered at the ship, looking to Leo as their savior. But Leo knew the truth. A bunch of unarmed refugees stood zero chance against Thady's heavily armed guerrilla army. That night, General Thady marched his entire military force into the Forbidden Zone to eradicate the human rebellion once and for all. As thousands of roaring ape soldiers charged down the valley, Leo activated his final trap. He slammed the ignition switch on the mothership's ancient nuclear core. A blinding shockwave ripped through the canyon, instantly vaporizing the front lines of the ape army. Despite the heavy losses, Thade was out for blood. The remaining ape army clashed with the humans in a brutal, chaotic battle. Unarmed humans were getting overwhelmed, and Thade personally pinned Leo to the dirt, beating him senseless. Just as Thade raised his blade for the kill shot, a thunderous roar echoed through the clouds. A brilliant light descended from the sky, and a small, modern modern space pod gently touched down right in the middle of the battlefield. The entire war ground to a halt. The superstitious ape soldiers dropped to their knees, believing their ancient god Simos had returned from the heavens. But when the pod door hissed open, it wasn't a god. It was Pericles, Leo's lost chimp, finally exiting the time anomaly. Leo lunged for the pod, but Thade tackled him inside the cockpit. The two engaged in a desperate fistfight. Thade grabbed Leo's laser pistol and aimed it point blank at his head. Thinking fast, Leo slammed the emergency override button, dropping a heavy blast shield between them. Thade pulled the trigger, but the laser bounced straight off the reinforced shield, trapping the furious general inside the bulletproof control room forever. With Thade locked away, and their god sitting peacefully on Leo's shoulder, the ape army surrendered. A peace treaty was struck between humans and apes to rebuild society together. Ari begged Leo to stay, but Leo was determined to get back to his own timeline. He gave Pericles a warm goodbye, kissed Ari, and fired up his repaired pod, plunging back into the temporal wormhole. The timeline meters on his dashboard spun rapidly backward. After a chaotic ride through space-time, the pod broke through Earth's atmosphere and crashed violently on the lawn of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Leo dragged himself out of the wrecked cockpit, gasping for air. He looked around, the green grass, the familiar buildings, the American flags. He smiled, thinking he was finally back home. He ran up the grand marble steps to look at the Lincoln statue, but as he looked up, his jaw dropped in horror. The massive stone statue wasn't Abraham Lincoln. It was General Thade, carved in marble, with a plaque reading, "In eternal memory of General Thade." Before Leo could even process the nightmare, police sirens blared. Dozens of squad cars surrounded the monument. The doors flew open, and armed ape police officers swarmed out with their weapons raised. In trying to escape the planet of the apes, Leo had rewritten history and handed his home straight over to the enemy.